Okay, good morning, everybody. Um, Welcome to our Build Analytics and Data-Driven Experiences in your product with code using Sisense. With me this morning, we have Connor. How are you, Connor?
Folks, how we doing?
Connor is our business development executive, and we're also delighted to have who does all the hard work behind the scenes, Keith Duffy, who is one of our developers in IMGS and Data Builders. Hi, Keith.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me.
Right. Well, I see a few people are joining. So we're just going to kick off now in a second. So we're going to talk about building analytics using Sisense into a code experience. So Connor, I'll let you just do so the agenda this morning is a quick introduction. Connor will talk about who we are and our solution. And then I'm going to talk about Sisense embedding, how you can embed with Sisense, how you can create customized apps and things. And then I'll also talk about the latest what Sisense are now delivering, which is Compose SDK, which is allowing you to build more advanced applications using development platforms like Vue, like React, like Compose. So showing you all the options you have for customizing and embedding and building analytics products with Sisense. So Connor, I'll let you just introduce who we are.
Yeah, thanks, Kieran. So, as Kieran mentioned, so I'm on the business development side here at Data Builders. So I will be, I suppose, your first point of contact and help you to understand the offering that we have as much as possible, as quickly as possible. So I'm here to help you and support you and to do so. So who are we? Data Builders, we have the expertise and solutions to align with your business goals and create a single source of truth, granting you access to the full power of your data. How do we do that? We've formed strategic partnerships with industry-leading BI and data intelligence tools, as you can see below here. Safe Software is a data integration ETL solution. Our newest partnership with Data Galaxy, which is a comprehensive data governance solution, allowing you to collaborate and see exactly what data you have and where is it. And of course, what we're going to be speaking about today, Sisense, which is our BI analytics solution, which is a particular niche, which we're also going to talk about in more detail in embedding and with their new Compose SDK, which I think we're all very excited about. So there's just like a very quick overview of who we are. For those of you who don't know, I'll pass back to Kieran now, but if there's any questions that might crop up in the meantime, I'm here as a resource for you. Just reach out at any time. We'll be more than happy to help.
Okay, thanks, Connor. Okay, so why we talk about customizing analytics, embedding analytics, and you kind of go, well, why are we looking at this? Well, what we've seen in the industry today is that analytics can be at times out of context and out of touch. So we're still printing reports, or maybe not always printing them these days, but definitely everybody wants to send them to a PDF. It's amazing the amount of customer projects I work on that the first thing we go is there a PDF export? So you build these nice shiny dashboards with all these interactive widgets and filters, and people go, yeah, but I just want to send it to a PDF or send it to CSV, which in essence is just digital printing. So that's what we see a lot of. We also see a lot of standalone dashboards. So the dashboard is in a separate app. So you have to leave whatever you're doing to go fire up the dashboard to see, how many calls you've had into your help desk center, how many tests have failed, how many tests have passed, what your sales, what your revenue, whatever the metrics you're doing, you're actually going to another system to actually get those metrics, to get those KPIs. And that's delaying time to insight. And also you still see people, and again, goes back to my comment about sending PDFs or sending CSVs, emailing screenshots of charts. Again, how is that up to date? How is that real time? How is that going to give real insights? But we as humans, we're all about context. Everything is running together. Things are personalized. You know, you go onto Netflix, it knows what you're into, it knows what you're like. Everything is about you. You don't have to jump from Billy to Jack, and everything is integrated into what you do. I don't have an on at the minute because it's charging, but I have an Apple Watch, I have my iPhone. They're all integrated. If I'm It's telling me when I'm not walking enough, which is pretty much current all the time. So it's telling me these things. It's giving me my steps. It's pinging me if I'm near something. If I leave the house and don't bring my laptop, my AirPod, the Apple tag is telling me I left it behind, which actually is a really good thing for some of the guys in our work who forget things. So these are the things that you have. Everything's in context. Everything is up to date. But because analytics haven't been that way, because analytics have lived in standalone dashboards, in static outputs like PDFs or prints or whatever, there's been a lack of analytics adoption. So with Sisense, we're looking at automating intelligence in context analytics based on what people do in their native apps, a personalized data story so that everything is what you need to see, so that the system is smart enough to show you the analytics that are needed for you, and then being able to embed those analytics into whatever you're doing. So when it comes to embed analytics, we see a number of key workflows that people look to do. One is that, yeah, they have, say, a work management system or a financial system or whatever it is, and they want the analytic inside that beside their other data. That's one way of embedding. The other way that we see with a lot of our customers who are providing applications to their customers, and they want to provide analytics inside those applications. In either sense, that means the analytic is where the person works. So it means there's more chance of them using the analytic. There's more chance of them adopting what you're rolling out. Because we all see all these big talks about digital transformation and digital projects, but if they don't get adopted, if people don't use them, what was the point in building the data warehouses? What was the point in building these complex, these pretty dashboards if nobody uses them? So that's where adoption is key. And by embedding, you're going to drive adoption and drive more people to use it. So with Sisense, we have 4 ways to embed dashboards or analytics into your applications or into your workflows. The most simplest approach is what's called the iframe or the inline frame, where you can actually just take the whole dashboard from Sisense and put it into an iframe, and then it'll be displayed inside whatever web app or program you want to do. In that case, you just create the dashboard as a BI designer, and then you share it, and it's embedded into another application using an iframe. Fantastic way to get started if you want to provide analytics into solutions without doing a heap of development, without having to get into a lot of complex stuff. So it's a great start. With Sisense, though, we also have the Embed SDK, which then allows you to customize those dashboards and adding APIs to help manage your dashboard after you embedded it. We also have the Sisense GS, which is the most powerful method of the 3, enabling you to load individual widgets. And I'm going to show you a very clever example this morning that Keith, who's here with us, has developed as a prototype, which is being used for another customer with their data, but to show how you can build really interactive custom solutions that are designed for the customer so that they're actually really easy to use for that customer using Sisense GS. Now, Sisense GS has been around a long time, so it allows you to take existing widgets from Sisense and then embed them into your app as a widget by widget to build a very custom workflow, which is very powerful if people want to build very interactive systems that they are driven towards the customer use and don't want to use the full Sisense interface. So we're going to talk about that this morning and show you a nice example. In the last year, Sisense have doubled down on making embedded applications and building these workflows with what's called Compose SDK. Compose SDK is a software development kit that enables a composable, code-driven way to use Sisense platform capabilities. The big difference here is with the Sisense JS, it doesn't have the same level. It doesn't work. It needs to be all through the API, through the JS calls. With the Compose SDK, you don't have to create the widgets first in Sisense. You can actually create everything through the code. And also with Compose SDK, it supports Angular, React, and Vue. So it's in the languages that modern developers want to use, and means you can create components into your application without having to be a Sisense expert. So developers can use Compose SDK faster to build faster apps. So it's really game changing. So I'm going to talk about the old school first embedding, the three, which was iframe and embed SDK and JS. And then I'm going to give you a good demo of both, an existing demo we have, you might have seen before if you've been with me before about embedding, and then also what Keith has done. Then we'll change gears and we'll talk about Compose SDK and where things are going. And again, Keith has built us another demo, I think it was in Angular, using Compose SDK, just so you can compare and contrast what you can actually do with the product. So sorry, I'll skip on here. So embedding, with the old school Sisense options, when do you use which option? So I noticed on the call here, we have a number of existing Sisense customers who are probably looking at this and seeing, what is the best option for them. So with the iframe, it's not as flexible. You create the dashboard, you put it in the iframe, and away you go. So you're not really customizing it through code. But you can embed the entire user interface, the dashboards, and the widget editor. From a skill level, it just needs to be a person who knows basic HTML. So very easy to do. Time deployment is really fast, and its best use case is simple embedding. The embed SDK is the kind of halfway house between the two. The flexibility is a bit more. You have a bit more flexibility. You can embed the same amount of components, but you do need to know some JavaScript. So with your JavaScript, then you can interact with the widgets in the dashboard and do some customization and make changes. Again, fast deployment, very easy to get started, very easy to get going, and best use case if you're doing interactive embedding of entire dashboards. So you have a dashboard, you just want to make it more interactive, you want to put some adding components on it, and you're not going to develop everything from scratch. So that's a really good example. Finally, then with Sisense JS, it's so flexible. You can build whatever user interface you want. You can embed individual widgets and the filters panel. Skill level is you need to be a Keith, so you need to have advanced JavaScript and CSS skills. Okay, so you need to be a programmer who can do this kind of stuff. The time to deployment is medium. It takes a bit of work, but again, even the app that we've done with Keith here, that I'm going to play it back, that was done in about 5 days. And that was show and tell with the customer, so it wasn't very intensive. It was over a few days, so it shows you what can be done. Best use case is where people want to embed individual widgets and build custom layouts. And the example we'll show this morning is an example of that. So some things you have to bear in mind if you are looking to embed, if you are looking to integrate, is with the single sign-on, you need to implement single sign-on. So the reason being is if someone's embedding into an app and jumping into Sisense, you don't want them having to log in twice. So they log into your app and then log into Sisense. So you should implement single sign-on. In Sisense, there's a number of methods for implementing single sign-on. You can use JWT, SAML, all these things are there that you can actually use to implement your single sign-on. You also have to enable on your Sisense application and inside your web app cores, cross-object reference scripting, so that the two applications can talk to each other. You need to look at the user interface customization, so you can customize what Sisense is doing and turn that on in the admin tab in Sisense. There are other plugins you can use and in the marketplace that can help build your app out, and you can build your own plugins as well, so you can make your own widgets to make things easier. So, and with the REST API, as I mentioned, you can customize the integration and the interface. Some embedding tips. Sisense JS, as I mentioned, provides the alternative to iframe. With all embedding, be very conscious of what changes are coming in browsers. So if Google Chromium bring out a new security fix, which they did a couple of months ago, that can impact some of the things you might be doing. So you have to change these things. So when you're embedding, if changes in browsers happen, you have to be willing to make the code changes to fix them, to get them working. So that's important as well. The Sisense.js has limitations, so there are some things that you can't do that you have to bear in mind, and you can use the Sisense playground. So on the Sisense playground, you can see code, you can test the code, you can play with that, and you can actually see what's happening with it. And then the Sisense.js, there is a getting started page as well. Let me just actually bring those two pages up while we're here. Sorry, just copy that. Sorry. Yeah, bring that one up, and I'll bring that one up. So let's bring that on the screen here. So you can see here's the playground, which is really useful. So you can go in and see an iframe example. So you can go, okay, I want to do an iframe, do the view code. It shows you how to embed the iframe, and I can run it. And there's a full dashboard being put into an iframe. Okay, and you can see there's a dashboard inside a dashboard. But simply as simple as that, if you want to add a filter pane or a navigation pane, it shows you the code to actually add that into the call. So if I run that again, you'll see now the navigation pane has also been added into that app. Okay, so there's there with the dashboards. You can also then look at the embed SDK. Similarly, I can look at a dashboard option where this is a dashboard being created or being fully embedded with the control, and using the embed SDK, we're firing that in using the JavaScript. Okay, so very similar idea as what we're doing with the embed iframe, but with the SDK, it's a different call, but you have more control what you're doing with that dashboard by using the embed SDK. And you can see things like you want to have an export button from the dashboard or view information, you can see that and it'll show you these things on the screen. So all these examples are there on the developer playground. And then the Sisense.js as well. Similarly, you can see here, if we want to build an app, bring the widgets in, you can see there's the code of how it's generated, how they're positioned on the map using the JS, and all these samples are there. So again, if I wanted to have filters on the map, I can run, and now I can see the filters are here as well. Okay, sorry, just move that over there so I can still see myself. Okay, so the playground, really good starting point for where you can actually work. And if we go to the Sisense.js, there's also the getting started here, which has all the information about the cores, the SAML, setting up your Sisense, and actually doing your first app and setting up. So really good resource that actually you can use. Now, back to my PowerPoint. Yeah, covered that. Sisense API itself, it allows the client to expose various client-side JavaScript APIs that can be used in add-ons. So the Sisense client exposes those in the add-ons. There's a Prism Global, which is the main entry point for the APIs. And once you expose that, you're able to get in and start interfacing with the application. So I'm going to show you the, so I'm going to show this first. I'm going to jump out for a second. I'll come back to that. Let me just bring this up, and yeah. So the first demo I'm going to show isn't Keats. This is the Sisense demo, just to show you everything in action when it comes to embedding. So this is a made-up CRM that Sisense have kind of developed themselves for these kind of purposes. So you can see on the front page here, we have some things that aren't part of Sisense. So this inbox, emails, that's just a web control. But here, this widget with the sales revenue, that's embedded widget. So that widget has been embedded into that web page. This is a React website. So using React and using the old Sisense.js, these components were embedded in the dashboard. But actually, if you want to click on them, and you get these indicator widgets, which we can actually click on here, and it will bring up a dashboard. But once we come to the insights page here, what we're actually doing is embedding the whole dashboard inside the iframe. So now you can see we have a completely interactive Sisense dashboard. I can turn on the filter bar here on the right-hand side. I can hide the toolbar or show it, or I can even show you the dashboard menu. So you know you're in Sisense. So this is the very simple embed a dashboard in an iframe. Okay, so that's what they're actually doing here. So inside the iframe, we're actually embedding the full dashboard. So now inside the dashboard, it just acts like any other Sisense dashboard. You'll see here, we have our total sales revenue. We've got our expirations and favorites. So I can click on the expiration part here and it auto generates these expirations of why that number was covered. That's one of the AI components in Sisense that allows you to do that. Similarly, if I look at the win rate, it auto generates different charts to explain that date and to explain that trend over time. Again, I can pick, I found this useful, which is then educating the AI model to say these are charts people like, so it'll always put it to the top when it does the expirations. We've also got our analyze it. So we can do explanations. So we can look at an opportunity pipeline and that should pop up. Sorry, that didn't work. Expirations. Wait, oh, it's not popping up. I'll show that in a second. It's not popping up at the minute. It's blocked. So you can actually then look at the AI with the forecast. So I can look at seems to hung for a second. Yeah, refresh that. So I can look at the chart. No, it's not popping. Yeah, so you can bring up any of the forms. It looks like the AI is turned off there. So I can look at the expirations, look at the information and break down. We can also use the simply ask. So we can look at, sales by a person and run that data and we'll see the number coming up, see the sales funnel, generate the charts. All the functionality in Sisense core dashboard, when you embed using SD iframe, is exposed. So again, unlike things like cross filtering here, so if we click on the lead status, you can see the dashboard filters out, shows that 35% forecast in, looks in. We can look in the data, we can drill into more data. All the functions that you'd expect to see in Sisense are working. You can also see the narrations where Sisense, this text is auto-generated based on what you have clicked on in the screen, what filters you've run. You will see this text here changes based on that and gives you the answer. So again, if I drill into a certain salesperson, you will see that Jasmine did 35 million, blah, 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 contributing this kind of number. All auto-generated, all off-the-shelf Sisense. And once you embed using the iframe, that's what you get. Very simple to do, very powerful, very easy. But if you want to be a bit more funky and are looking to build out an app that is able to be customized to what the user wants, to bring a more customized user experience, then what we're able to use is the Sisense JS. And this is what Keith has done here in this demo. So what you can see is we've got the widgets on the video here. We have built in a custom JS to move these widgets into the screen. And then we've put a function on those that if somebody clicks on a widget, that it then shows these other charts interactively based on the widget that they've called and dynamically changes the screen to meet whatever widget that the person has done. So making the workflow, the steps for that user be very, very intuitive. Not having to click on widget configuration panels or things, being able to pick any indicator and change it. The customer we're working for also wanted to be able to have a target line on the widget, which we do, which is fine. You can easily do that. But actually they wanted to dynamically change the target on the fly for the user. So you can see here, they're changing that green line through the GUI, through the API. And look how easy it is for the end user to make these changes, to interact, and how clean it is, the interface. This is, again, a very simple example, but it shows you how we can interact with the workflow, provide very simple buttons for the person to drill into the dashboard and a very clean interface. So you can see how we're changing the dashboard, changing the target lines, changing what widgets are displayed to meet what the customer's using, not having dashboards reloading or changing or jumping from web page to web page. It's all contained inside this very clean GUI. You can see here we're changing the date ranges, doing it on the control. Everything that we've done picks up those filters. So if we're filtering by profit or changing the widget, very clear. The user has the very clean interface to jump from indicator to indicator to chart to chart. So that's the power of the embed SDK, being able to actually do that. And oh, I think there's sorry. I think there's been some issues with comms. Sorry, I didn't see any of the messages. Yeah, hopefully it's all recorded and we can share with you guys afterwards. So we will get on to Zoho, who are our webinar company, see why there's been issues this morning. Okay. So then we've covered the Sisense JS. So now I just want to show you Compose. So with the Compose SDK, we can build applications from Sisense components. So you're using code libraries, composable queries, charts, AI capabilities. So if you're a developer and most developers want to be working with frameworks like Vue, like React, or like Angular, they don't care about things like Sisense. They just say that's an object. That's an object I want to display on the screen. So what Compose allows them to stay in their development world. With the Sisense JS, you do have to create those widgets first inside Sisense. So they have to be created. Then the developer uses the GUID ID of the widget to display it. So you have the initial configuration has to be done in Sisense first. With Compose, you can do that. You can still follow that approach, or, which is even very clever, you can create your own components purely through code and connect to the data. So it's completely code-driven and very much very easy to do with your in those languages. So you can then, the developer can focus on the developing an excellent experience. So this Compose SDK is purpose built for developers to build analytical experiences into their product with code while benefiting from their documentation. Allows you to use only the features you need, and it's an open system, so it supports multiple programming languages and popular frameworks, and everything can be extended. And also, in some cases, you can actually use visualizations that might not even be in Sisense. So you can build the best of the worlds, or you can take other components and build out some very exciting, very interesting apps. So with the Compose SDK, it's been focused on embedding and web client applications. It's brand new way, as I said, code first or on demand. There's a set of libraries for composing the web applications, so queries, charts, and other components. And it's delivered in a framework-specific versions, Angular, React, or Vue, via GitHub or NPM. And it allows developers, as I mentioned, to mix and match Sisense components with their own code. So with the Compose SDK, sorry, that beta shouldn't be there. It's not beta anymore. You can generate on-demand, flexible and feature data-rich visualizations. You can compose and execute complex queries, and using JavaScript or TypeScript without knowing Jekyll. Again, better for developers. And you can embed standalone, customizable filter components and add chart handlers to your query events. So just to show you now, an example that we've created that Keith created with Compose SDK. Again, you can see the widgets are very clear, very crisp. The on click, this is all done through, I think it was Angular in this case. Keith can correct me if I'm wrong. In the Angular side, building out these little widgets, not having to create anything in Sisense first. That's the big difference. That just using the SDK, just using the Compose, Keith, again, in a matter of hours, was able to, as a developer, build this experience and not have to be an expert on Sisense, which is, again, great for your developers, because developers aren't BI people. So having that skill set, that these kind of charts, that this kind of embedded, custom, not embedded, but custom applications can be built in a framework that developers like. And you can see the tool tips are here, the different type of charts that you can create with the widget. Even clicking on the filter button on the chart there to show female or fail, to hide columns in the chart, being able to interact with the chart in a very nice way. And here again, you can see here that Keith has done the filtering and having the filter control, very similar to what we did in the GS example, but using this modern technology stack. And as I said, not having to really interact with the Sisense core system. So there is that separation where the developer can just develop. That's what Compose SDK brings to you. So it allows developers in languages that they're happy with to be able to interact with the system, build out very slick applications rapidly. Because with the Compose SDK, it's all through libraries and components, so they don't have to have this disconnect between the BI and the dashboard. Sorry, let's go on. So again, I think I'm running nicely on time here. So with what we've shown you this morning is with Sisense, we can go beyond analytics. So we have a number of solutions to allow you to get your data your way. So the access to analytics, no matter the complexity. So if you want to embed a full dashboard, yeah, we can do that. If you have a team where you don't have much development resource and you just need to embed it quickly, use embed, iframe embed the whole dashboard. If you've got some skills, maybe some JavaScript, maybe some CSS skills, Sisense.js, really good. Allows you customize, allows you build some little applications, do some interfaces. But if you have modern developers who want to use a modern stack, who want to rapidly develop applications, work and build out really advanced applications, well, Compose SDK is the way to go. And that's how you differentiate your product. If you're selling a product and you're putting analytics in with things like Compose SDK, you will have a USB. You will have the competitive advantage over your customer by putting this kind of analytics into your solution. And by embedding analytics into your products, into your platforms, you're speeding time to action. So you're improving engagement and efficiency with insights that lead to actions. And that is me, and we can take any questions. I do notice, I couldn't see the chat during. I was noticing there was audio issues this morning, so we will share the recording with people afterwards, so that they can actually see everything that was done this morning, because I think there was connection issues, and we will find out what was going on with Soho this morning. But if there's any questions, yeah, we can take them at the minute. I'm not sure if anything else has come in apart from it not working.
Yeah. No, Kieran, I just wanted to say, really well done. I think I speak for all of us here at Data Builders. Like, we're really excited about the power and the strengths of embedded analytics, and particularly now with this Compose SDK piece. Yeah, it's exciting to see where people can take it. And we're here for the journey, and we're here to support you as much as possible. So definitely very exciting. What Keith did there, it's really cool, really slick. So yeah, really cool.
Oh, great. No problem. All right, I think that's everything for the day, Tanya. Again, like, thank Keith for the hard work in the background building the apps. I think he's found it. Keith, you enjoy working with these kind of applications for those couple of customers.
I don't bother at all. Yeah, I do love it. Especially the new SDK stuff. It really gives you a lot more power, and you can put together some pretty cool things with a lot of nice user interfaces and things like that very quickly. So it's a very nice tool to work with, and that was only with a couple of days of looking things up and maybe a couple of hours putting it together. But with a bit more time and effort, you could really start to build these things out, create very cool, complex applications.
Definitely. Okay, well, thanks everybody for joining this morning. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us or contact Connor or ourselves. I think we have, there is a FME accelerator for any customers who are looking at ETL next week. I think there might be some places there. I think it's fairly heavily booked out. And we will have a few FME webinars coming up in the next month. So keep an eye on our data builders page for those events if you want to attend. Thank you for spending time with us this morning, and yeah, we look forward to seeing you again soon. All right, thank you. Thanks
Thanks everyone.